Learn English through story. The Curse of the Golden Apple. In a small village, nestled within a valley surrounded by lush forests, there lived a humble farmer named Elias. He was known throughout the village for his kindness, generosity, and his bountiful orchard. The orchard was the pride of the village, providing sweet apples, pears, and plums that were the envy of neighboring towns. Elias was content with his simple life, tending to his trees and sharing the fruits of his labor with those in need. One autumn evening, after a long day of work, Elias noticed something unusual among the branches of his oldest apple tree. There, hidden behind the leaves, was an apple unlike any he had ever seen. It was golden, glowing faintly in the twilight, as if it were made of pure gold. Elias was stunned by its beauty and immediately picked the apple, marveling at its weight and luster. Unsure of what to do with this extraordinary fruit, Elias took it home and placed it on his kitchen table. He considered taking it to the village elder for advice, but the longer he stared at the apple, the more he became captivated by it. He imagined the wealth it could bring him, the way it could change his life. The next morning, Elias decided to visit the market in the nearest town. As he walked through the village, word quickly spread about the golden apple. People flocked to see it, each offering Elias a fortune for the fruit. The more offers he received, the more his mind was consumed by thoughts of riches and status. Soon, the humble farmer who once cared only for his orchard began to see the apple as his ticket to a life of luxury. At the market, Elias was approached by a wealthy merchant who offered him an enormous sum of gold in exchange for the apple. Elias hesitated. The merchant, sensing his uncertainty, leaned in and whispered, "This apple is worth more than all the gold in my coffers." But beware, wealth can be a double-edged sword. Elias, blinded by his desire for riches, dismissed the merchant's warning. He handed over the golden apple and, in return, received a chest full of gold coins. Overwhelmed by his sudden wealth, Elias hurried home, his mind racing with plans to expand his orchard, build a grand house, and live a life of comfort. As the days passed, Elias began spending his newfound wealth. He bought more land, hired workers to tend his fields, and built a grand house that towered over the village. At first, the villagers were happy for him, but as his wealth grew, so did his greed. He became obsessed with accumulating more and more land, more servants, more luxury. He no longer shared his harvest with the village, and the once generous farmer became distant and cold. The golden apple, now a distant memory, had indeed brought Elias great wealth, but it had also planted a seed of greed in his heart. He no longer cared for his orchard, and the trees that had once thrived under his care began to wither. The fruit became scarce, and the village, which had once flourished thanks to Elias's generosity, fell on hard times. One evening, as Elias sat alone in his grand house, he heard a knock at the door. He opened it to find an old woman, dressed in tattered clothes, holding a small, withered apple in her hand. "Please, sir," she said, "I am hungry and have nothing to eat. Could you spare some food?" Elias, who had once been known for his kindness, looked at the woman with disdain. "I have nothing to give you," he replied coldly. "Leave me be." The old woman looked at him sadly and said, "You have forgotten the true wealth of life, Elias. You have allowed greed to consume you, and now you are poorer than the poorest beggar." Before Elias could respond, the woman disappeared, leaving behind the withered apple on his doorstep. Confused and shaken, Elias picked up the apple and noticed something strange. It began to glow faintly, just like the golden apple he had sold. As he stared at it, memories of his simple, happy life flooded back, and he realized the truth in the old woman's words. Elias ran to his orchard, but it was too late. The trees were dead, their branches bare, and the once fruitful land was now barren. His wealth had cost him everything that truly mattered: his connection to the land, his relationships with the villagers, and the peace that came from a life lived with purpose. Desperate to undo the damage he had caused, Elias searched for the old woman, but she was nowhere to be found. He returned to the spot where he had found the golden apple, hoping for a miracle, but the tree was gone, leaving only a patch of lifeless earth. In the years that followed, Elias tried to rebuild his orchard, but the land never recovered. The villagers, who had once admired and respected him, now avoided him, seeing him as a man who had lost his way. Elias lived the rest of his days in solitude, haunted by the choices he had made and the life he had squandered. The story of Elias and the golden apple became a legend in the village, a cautionary tale passed down through generations. It reminded the people that true wealth is not found in gold or material possessions, but in the simple joys of life, in generosity, and in the relationships we nurture. Elias's tale taught them that greed, once it takes root, can destroy even the most beautiful of lives, leaving only emptiness in its wake. And so, the villagers learned to value what truly mattered, ensuring that the curse of the golden apple would never touch their hearts. I hope you enjoyed the story. If you enjoyed, then please like and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching.